Hello and welcome to this history overview of the 6.3 kilometre Westminster Sightseeing Photorun. We're going to start to look at the history of the area. Now if we go back to around 1500 we can see a map here of what London was like at that time. Notice how small it was, and that's because at the time there was only about 70,000 people in London. Now if we have a look at this one, it's surrounded by the Wall of London. This is London Bridge, but the Palace, Westminster Palace, and the run that we're going to do is right on the very edge in this sort of green belt area, which is in a sense St James's Park, but the Palace is just in this far corner. You can see what we would normally think of London as such as St Giles and Hyde Park and Knightsbridge and up towards Regent's Park area. Well, that's all countryside. Now we're quite fortunate when they started to make maps of London in the olden days, they tended to make them more 3D. So we have some good examples of what London might have looked like in 1560 and Victorian times, which is what you can see here. But let's go and have a look at London in just a bit more detail and show you what the runs would look like if we overlaid them on different eras in London. So the first map that we show is around 1560. So it's the crossover really between when Henry VIII had died and Queen Elizabeth I was coming to the throne. So just in terms of dates, Henry VIII was on the throne from 1509 to 1547, and we had the Reformation, which is a split to the church, in about 1517. Now, between 1547 and 1558, there was Edward VI, who was very Protestant, and we had Queen Mary, or Bloody Mary as she was called, which was very Catholic. And then when Elizabeth came to the throne, she tried to get a balance, and she was on the throne from 1558 to 1603. And just to put in context, when Shakespeare was around, he was actively doing his plays between 1565 and 1613, and the great event that happened at this particular period was that the Spanish Armada tried to invade us in 1588. The next map that I show here is from about 1750. You can see that Westminster Bridge had just been built, and you can see that we have Westminster Abbey, very prominent. A lot of the buildings at this time obviously would have been smaller, so this would be where the Houses of Parliament are. It would have been the old Westminster Palace. This would have been all Whitehall Palace along here. And then if we move a bit further along, we can see as we go towards Waterloo Bridge that this is what the North Bank would have looked like. So this is Savoy Place around here, and this would have been about where Embankment would have been. So in this period that this map was produced, we are in the Georgian era. So this is about when George II was around. So we're 25 years before the American War of Independence. There's only one bridge between here and London Bridge, and that is Westminster Bridge. And Whitehall Palace, which we could see on the previous map, had burnt down in 1659. So the whole of the Royal Palace had actually moved at this point all the way down to St James's Palace, which was in St James's Park near Buckingham Palace. The next period of history we're going to look at for this area is in 1851, and we can see how the routes is changed considerably, and also the orientation of the map has changed. So we're now looking from the north, looking south. So we have Trafalgar Square here, we have the Houses of Parliament to the north, and then we have Waterloo Bridge down to the south. So during this period we have Charles Dickens. He started his literary work in about 1836 with the Pickwick Papers. We also have Charles Darwin and his theory of evolution in 1859. London and the British Empire was going forward in strides at this particular period. We had the Great Exhibition in 1851 in Hyde Park, and the Industrial Revolution was going on all around the country. But you'll also see that the Houses of Parliament down in here are not quite looking the way that we see them today. And this is because they'd only recently burnt down in 1834, and they were in the process of being rebuilt. And at this particular point, Big Ben and Elizabeth Tower had yet to be built. So when we move to this particular picture in 1889, we could see that we have the Houses of Parliament as we see them today, and the bridges that you see are Westminster Bridge, we have the Hungerford Bridge, we have a train station here, we have Waterloo Bridge towards the end, and we also have Embankment, which has just been built on the north side of the river. And these are some of the views that you can see today. This is taken from the London Eye, so this is just looking out towards the west. So this is the Houses of Parliament tour, which goes around the Houses of Parliament, across Lanbeth Bridge and back again. As we move around, we can see the start of Victoria Embankment, and then we look out towards the Ministry of Defence, Horse Guards Hotel, and out towards Buckingham Palace, looking out directly towards the west. And up in this particular direction is Oxford Street and all the shopping district. And then we move a bit further round and we've got the entertainment areas, and we've got the Hungerford Bridge, and these are the Golden Jubilee Bridge surrounding it. And then we're out towards Waterloo Bridge on the right hand side, and then looking out towards the City of London. And that ends the historical overview of this 6.3 kilometre photo run of Westminster's sightseeing areas.